So welcome guys, this is going to be a short 5-minute introduction to sociology covering the core themes that you would have covered in the first week of the course. So let's get started. So sociology, what is it? Now sociology is the study of human social life, groups and society, and the interactions that take place between individuals on a worldwide social process. That's the kind of one definition we use. Ultimately, what this means is that society equals individuals plus groups plus institutions plus norms, values, and culture. And as sociologists, we want to study all of this. Now, the way we do this is sociology is based on evidence. It's the sociological imagination, which is how we think about society, and it aims to be objective and value free. And ultimately, when it comes to the nature and nurture debate, sociology argues that we are a product of nurture. We learn the behaviours, the actions of those around us. We're not born ready to take part in society. We're not born pre-ready, pre-packaged humans. We have to learn to fit in to the world that exists around us. So when we think about the study of sociology, what it means is that when we look at society, all societies have similar features. They all contain an economy, which is the monetary system being used by some societies. There's also a family involved where they can obviously reproduce, and the way that children are brought up. There's always a form of government which instills rules, law, order, and some kind of control. And then there's a culture which is always shared, and it's norms, values, beliefs, customs, traditions, a shared way of life. All societies on a fundamental level contain all four elements of these elements. Now, a culture is a shared way of life between a group of people or a society. And as part of that, we also have, I mentioned before, norms and values. And norms are socially acceptable rules of behaviour. So in a very crude way of putting it, normal behaviour. Values are things that we consider to be important or right. So this would form part of the rules. So knocking on the door before you enter a room is a norm. It's expected behaviour. The value, the thing that we consider important as being protected by knocking on the door, is privacy. Now, when it comes to socialization, as I said, we are not pre-packaged humans. We're not ready to fit in. We have to learn to fit into our society. And this is done through socialization. Now, socialization is a big process. Ultimately, it means to be socialized, to be taught the ability to fit into society. And this is done in a number of stages. Now, primary socialization is the very first stop. When you were born, you're a baby. You can cry, you can poo, you can breathe, and that's about it. Everything else you can do as a human being today, you have had to learn. And you start off by learning this in the family. So you learn the basics: walking, talking, feeding yourself, toilet training, and interacting with family members. When you move on to school, that continues. So secondary socialization takes over. And this is actually lifelong. You're not just going to finish school and be ready to fit in. You're always learning new things about society, always learning how to be part of society, because society is always changing. The rules, the laws, the values, what is considered right and important are always changing, and you're always learning how to stay up to date with the society around you. The agencies of socialization help with secondary socialization. So as I said, it's your school initially, but then it's employment, it's the government, it's the media, religion, peer groups. All of these things work together to keep you an active part of society. Now, when you are taking your role in society, you will have roles to perform, and the role is an expected pattern of behaviour. It's a way you're acting out your purpose. So you guys performing the role of a student will have various expectations and ways of behaving and interacting with people around you. A role model is someone who performs the role, and you kind of copy or emulate their behaviour to try and perform that role successfully. So it might be you have an older brother who acts in a particular way. You may replicate his behaviour because you see that as the acceptable way to behave or perform a role, such as being a brother. Conflict can arise when you have multiple roles and they clash or they conflict with one another. And your identity is how you see and define yourself. Now, one of the big things about socialization we looked at was unsocialized or feral children, children who have not gone through the socialization process and therefore have not become part of society and are not socialized to be part of society. Oksana Malaya, the dog girl, is a good example. Now, in all of this, we have social control. This keeps us in check. This makes sure we perform, and the norms, the values, our behaviours are desirable and required by society. And there's lots of ways it's done. Ultimately, sanctions is how we are controlled by society. Sanctions can be positive or negative, formal and informal. And here we have just a summary of the different types. So formal and informal sanctions, which is kind of official and unofficial control on our behaviour, and we can be rewarded for positive behaviour and punished for negative. And there we have it, just over 5 minutes, but an overview of our first week of sociology. Now, just as a little addition to this, I've got this diagram here, which I use as part of my teaching, and I try to use it as an overview of the whole socialization process. So we have society at the very top that affects and determines norms, values, and our culture. Those elements, norms, values, culture, that gets transmitted and taught via socialization. So primary socialization on the left, secondary on the right. All of that filters down to us. The norms, the values, the culture, that helps shape us and who we are and helps form our identity. At the same time, we've got positive sanctions, negative sanctions from those institutions, reinforcing, shaping and moulding our behaviour. And overall, this is kind of what we would have covered and what we have looked at in our first week of sociology. So if this helps, take a screenshot of it or ask your teacher for a file. Otherwise, hopefully this has helped sum up our first week of lessons. Thanks for watching and take care.